Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine McCoy and welcome to my channel. I am looking a little bit more fancy than I usually look in these videos, and that is because today I had two speaking engagements. So the first speaking engagement I had was with the South Atlantic region for their Game Changers Hear My Voice webinar. And that was really fun because I got to have a Q&A with the South Atlantic region undergraduate members. For the sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And they got to ask us questions about the undergraduate theme, about Ski Week. Next thing I had to do was I went to a chapter meeting to speak. So I spoke at the Iota Theta Omega chapter meeting today, and that was important because my 4th grade teacher, Dewan Rankin, is a part of that chapter. And she remembers when I was in 4th grade. So she had asked me if I would be willing to come and speak at her chapter meeting, and I did. And it was really fun being able to see her again and just talk to them, let them get to know and have a sense of who I am, what I'm doing, what my school year is like outside of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So that was really fun. After that, I went back to the South Atlantic region Hear My Voice webinar to finish that up. And yeah, so that was my morning today. That's why I'm dressed up. I'm still dressed up because I haven't gotten out of my my clothes yet. But this video is going to be about basically the last 2 weeks because they were pretty hectic. I had an essay, I had a midterm worksheet, and I had an exam. And I'm going to talk about each of those things. So my essay was in the history of African Americans from the slave trade to the Civil War. And that essay was about us exploring the slave trade database. We had to pick a voyage and talk about that voyage importance in the context of history. I'm going to put the link in the description in case you might want to explore this slave trade database, because you will find there is so much information about how Africans were exported and traded from Africa to the Americas, because it's not just covering North America, it also covers South America, which is really interesting. It'll tell you things like the captain name, how many guns were on the ship, when the ship left England, how long it stayed in maybe the port of Biafra, how long it took for the Middle Passage. And then it'll also tell you stuff like how much the Africans were sold for once they reached the New World in Jamaica, for example. So you can look at something like that if you want to. The voyage I chose was the Lion and the Lamb, and this is one that I picked because of how unique it was. So the average amount of captives that a slave ship had was somewhere around 250, but this slave ship had 400. And the average mortality rate for captives during the Middle Passage was 12%. But for the Lion and the Lamb, the mortality rate was only 6%. So it managed to have more captives, but less deaths. And that was something I found interesting. So I talked a little bit about that, wrote my essay, got a nice grade on it, so pat myself on the back because I felt really good turning that in. The next thing was the midterm assignment for global feminisms. So this originally was supposed to be an essay as well. But the professor, Durba Mitra, she is amazing, she said, you know what? I feel like you all have enough to do. You don't need another essay to write. So what I'm going to have you all do is fill out this worksheet of exploring a database on your own. And we were given 5 or 6 different databases to explore. The one that I picked was for Black female writing preceding 1920. And it was a very small database, at least in my opinion, when I was comparing that to the transatlantic slave trade database, which had more than 180,000 entries. So the one that I used for the global feminisms class only had 52 entries, but that made it very easy to explore the entire archive. So you had to fill out a worksheet about why you picked this and what it means to you. You had to explain the database, what it shows, why it's important to history, what purpose does it serve to greater mankind. The longest part of the worksheet was when we had to deliver a question and a theme that we had after exploring our database. So mine was, would it be possible for them to find the reviews, the comments that people left about the works in the archive? That way we would get an understanding of what people in 1915 and 1910, whatever, thought about these works by Black women at the time that they were published. I thought that would be really interesting to find out. There were also other questions, but we will move away from that. Then I had the exam. My exam was in the biochemistry of membranes. And the way that it was explained to us that the exam would go was not the way it went. It ended up being perfectly fine. But the way that they explained it is that the exam was going to be 15 minutes and you'll get about 15 questions and you'll have a partner, you and your partner will work on those 10, 15 questions, and then we'll come back to the group and talk about our answers to the questions in a Socratic seminar type thing. The day of the exam, we were told that we would be getting partners still, but that you're just going to be answering one question. So you'll have 15 minutes to answer your one question, and then we will be brought back to the group to explain our answer. And I'm sitting here like, oh, that's a bit different. That's a bit different than what I was expecting. Our question was about synaptotagmin and fusion, and I really liked fusion, so I was excited with my question. But I started the exam and my partner wasn't there. You also didn't know who your partner was until being put in the same Zoom room with them. So I was sitting alone for a little bit, waiting on my partner to arrive. Turns out they were at the doctor's, so then I was like, I'm sure it's important, do your thing, I will handle it. But then we get put back into the big Zoom room, all of the partners come back, and we explain what we think our answer is. And after explaining a model for the fusion involving synaptotagmin, calcium, and V snares and T snares, the professor, he liked our answer, and that was really nice, especially considering that he has like a little Italian accent that he says everything in. So I was like, yes, I did it. So that's everything that went on for the last 2 weeks, all of the school stuff that I was doing. And then I have other interesting things to talk about. So my parents decided that it would be a great idea to get a elliptical because they want to be able to exercise, but, and this is completely understandable, they want to have a lower impact type of exercise as opposed to the treadmill, which is what I usually use. Dad is 6'6", and then there's me, 5'7", and we are trying to coordinate, trying to lift it from the garage up the 3 steps into the house, and then we gotta walk a little bit and turn and then go down the steps, and it's like 20-ish steps. So it's a little different trying to hold 200 pounds that aren't evenly distributed, might I add, because there's like the big circular part with the that the arm things attached to, and then there's the arms that lead out to the pallets where you put your feet, and that's what my dad was holding. It is difficult trying to hold that when there is a nearly 1 foot difference between you and the person that's holding the other side. But we made it down the stairs, and then the next part was putting it all together. So that also in itself was another workout, because there was this part where you had to put the cords in the back of the display panel, and for one of them it was perfectly fine because it had enough slack in it for you to hold the panel far enough away and just go like that. But then there were 2 other cords that had to be plugged in that only had about that much slack. And how are you supposed to get your hand back there while you only have this much slack to be able to hold it in the right position to put it in its little prong thingamajig. We spent about 20 minutes trying to figure that out. We did figure it out because we're both geniuses. You had to turn it 90 degrees in order to have like an area for you to put your hand to hold it, to push the panel onto it. So we figured that out. And that's built. It's over there. Just as a quick aside, everything about the elliptical is built now. So when we were bringing it in, all that stuff over there was not like attached. So these yellow things, like that was gone. The yellow stuff was there, and it had like the leg thingamajiggies. This also wasn't there, that wasn't there, and this wasn't there. So I'm holding this end, and my dad is holding the two yellow bits. And we had to come down these stairs. And then last night, we were having a good night, a very good night, but I kind of messed it up. So the night was going well because we got a new ring light delivered, and this one is much larger, it's more powerful, and it's what I used this morning for the events that I was at. It works like a charm. My mom and I were eating our edible cookie dough, and at one point she goes, okay, now go bring me the other ring light, the old ring light, because that's mine. Mine isn't hers, because she was going to take that one and give me the new one. Well, this is so embarrassing. It was over in this area. I don't even know what to call it. It's like a dining area that we don't use because everything over there is white. I didn't spill anything. That's not the bad thing. But everything is over there is white, and it has all the fancy china and glasses and whatnot. And that is where we had been filming a lot of stuff for the past 2-3 weeks. So it is on the table with the 3 tripod legs sticking out and the rod thing. And she told me to go and get it. It was dark, but I'm thinking, oh, I know my own house. I can just pick it up and walk it back over to where the light side of the house is. I picked it up. I forgot that the legs like are tripods, and I started like pulling it up to walk away with it, forgetting about the legs, and I ended up tipping over one of the glasses. And as it was falling, I think, oh, I'll just cushion it with my feet. And then the next thought I had was, no, Jasmine, that's a stupid idea. So I ended up like jumping back, moving my feet out of the way, which thankfully I did, because the glass shattered into so many pieces. And Mom said, I knew I shouldn't have let you go and do that. I knew something was going to happen. I knew I should have just done it myself. And I'm standing there like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Because these glasses that are over there decorating that area are all of the wedding crystal glasses. So she said, in 23 years, in 7 moves, I have never broken anything. And I tell you to go get the tripod. I tell you to do one thing. And you end up breaking a glass. And I'm like, Mom, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And they ended up having another glass to go and put there. But she will never let me live that down, that I broke one of their wedding crystal glasses after 23 years. Yeah, so that happened last night, but we still ended up having a good night. My mom still loves me. At least I think she does. She definitely does. She does still love me. Thank you very much for watching this video of me just talking about what's been happening in my life. If you want to join the family that we have here, you can like and subscribe. If you are a returner, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for staying. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.